It's GAK's Gear of the Year!
Hello and welcome to part 4 of GAK's Gear of the Year Rundown 2013. I am your host Mark Packham, who is with me.
Hello, my name's Jay. I'm the assistant manager here in the guitar store.
Hello, my name's Matt. I'm the manager and I'm here for bass things.
Hello, I'm Joe and I'm here for bass things far more than you are.
More bass.
Sub bass. No, that's me. No, treble bass.
You're treble bass.
I'm definitely
That's
treble
not
bass.
a thing.
Well,
Can you be sub-baritone? Is that a voice range?
You're like a
you can
little
have?
piccolo bass.
I'm a Mustang bass.
Yeah.
Short scale. Well, I'm not. No, I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
We're, so today, gents, we're
Great conversation, guys.
indeed, yeah. We're deciding what are our best bass things, which is quite a loose category. Yeah, Joe Branton, I assume you've picked out most of these for us and pointed us in the right direction.
There's no 50s P bass on the list.
It didn't come out this year.
American Standard P bass.
It didn't come out this year.
Oh, I'm sort of,
Jay's
I'm
lost.
sort of a little bit lost.
American Standard P bass came out this year. Like they sent one from the factory.
Yeah, there was some, but they weren't a new thing. So. Jay Cross, do you want to lead off? Let's do something that you know about first.
Well, okay. I mean, we're struggling already. No. Okay, my favourite bass that came out this year is the Fender Starcaster. Big-bodied, big pickup. I mean, I'm sure Joe will wholeheartedly disagree with me, but just make it sound really growly and horrible. And
No, I completely agree. I think they're absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
This testament to this that the guitar and the bass have both got into.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And the main reason I've chosen this is, again, it's the sort of my sort of belief that it's about companies listening to what people want.
Yeah.
And then making that thing, as opposed to just going, oh, okay, yeah, cool, well, here's another jazz bass, this time it's in green, or something along those lines. And I think that having listen to what people want, they want these reissues of these cool weird things, and producing them at so it's 680 quid, it is a lot of money, but it's not a grand.
No,
£600 is not a lot of money for a hollow body bass.
Well, absolutely, and it's something a little bit different. One of the things we've spoken about before, I mean, I realise you're most certainly an anomaly in this, Joe. Most bass players will have one bass and perhaps a backup. And I think that this offers something a little bit different, for someone who's like, yeah, well, I've got my P bass and I've got jazz bass, or I've got a Warwick or whatever. And it's, I quite like basses, but I want something that's going to give me something a little bit different. And I think that this really, really does.
Yeah.
It's just, big-bodied, and it looks wicked.
It looks wicked, but I think regarding its looks, I think on bass it's very different from on guitar. When you go for something hollow-bodied, it's not like you guys when you can have a 335 and you can still use that for anything. It's a very versatile instrument. Hollow-bodied basses aren't. They really pigeonhole you in a kind of certain playing style in a certain area. It's very difficult to drive a hollow body bass or to use it in any way aggressively, which is why you just don't see them in kind of rock music really at all, and they're very few and far between. Like the only one that is frequently made is the Epiphone Jack Cassidy. Other than that, what have you got? The Hofner violin bass. Try putting drive on that. It's impossible.
Electromatic.
Yeah, exactly. Can't drive that.
There's a 335 bass.
There is, but
there?
Again, not always made.
Yeah. But like you say, you can't drive it. I mean, every time I've plugged it in. And
this is what I'm saying.
Oh,
exception
I see. Sorry,
to the rule.
my bad.
Exception to the rule. Great big maple centre block and those massive telly bass style pickups on there. It makes it incredibly versatile. 32-inch scale.
Is that long or short? I don't know.
Oh, right. 34 is standard.
Oh, okay. So it's
and
short
30
scale.
is short scale. So
Right,
now
so it's medium
It's a
scale.
weird
It's a
halfway.
medium scale, yeah.
What I really like about it is that it fills a gap that kind of Warwick tried to do when they were doing
the Starbase.
the Starbase and the Jack Bruce and stuff like that, but they're so much money. If you want like late 60s, 70s kind of John Entwistle, like thuddy kind of sound, or Jack Bruce kind of sound, this is like the bass to go for at the moment. Like you say, it's that kind of valve drive. None of the other hollow bodies that we do will really handle that, I don't think.
No, definitely. Two of those big telly, wide range.
Exactly.
pickups.
Yeah, and if you want that kind
Amazing.
of real thuddy like 70s bass sound,
And who wouldn't?
I mean, it's definitely one to go for. Also worth mentioning, probably the best built Chinese guitars.
Without a doubt.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah.
Weighs a ton. Whole thing's maple.
Well, yeah, I know, and I just think it's a real good indicator of where Chinese production is going. The fact that Fender are now putting Fender on the headstock on Chinese
That's
guitars.
it. This is the first time. I don't think we should see that as a sign of Fender cheapening themselves.
No.
I think it's a sign of the Chinese factory-produced stuff just really upping its game.
Definitely.
Well, again, this is something we've spoken about in previous podcasts. This is part of the modern player range. I mean, it's not branded as a modern player. I don't think.
It's a bit weird, really. They've just called it the Starcaster,
Which is the same as what they've done with the guitars, but like, and the Coronado as well is the same. But like, it's part of the modern player range. Now, the modern player range is stuff which is Fender building stuff in China, and they're going, well, I mean, I think it was you, Mark, that sort of analogized it in the way that it was like, well, look, purists aren't going to want to buy a Fender guitar from China.
No.
So we're not going to make a guitar that a purist would want.
Well,
so they've the the tellies that they've done. You've got the twin P90 with the F hole, and then you've got the the HSS with the Strat pickup in the middle telly as well.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me as like a sort of blinkered, blinded telly player, I'm like, well, I don't want either of those. But they're not designed for me. They're designed for someone who likes the look of a telly but doesn't like the sound of a telly, which is great. And I think that's what this is as well. It's it's not. It's designed for people who aren't going to be like, no, we want something exactly the same. It's not that, and they're great. They're great. The modern player range is great.
Can you imagine what would have happened if they'd just gone, right, okay, we're making guitars in China now, they're going to be Fender on the headstock, here's the Chinese standard Strat. Like, that range would have died an
Nobody
absolute
would have bought
death.
it. Nobody would have bought
absolute
it.
death. Whereas what they've done is they've been really, really clever, like you say, and they've gone, okay, you can't get this anywhere else. Like, we're not going to do a Mexican Starcaster, we're not going to do an American Starcaster.
Yeah.
These guitars are really good quality, and if you want a Starcaster, which lots of people evidently did and do, here it is. It's Chinese. So
And
what? They're really good.
Absolutely, and I think it's really, really outdated. This view that that Chinese stuff is bad.
Yeah, I
it's
agree.
really outdated. I mean,
It's like the view that Squire's bad.
Well, I mean, that was going to be my next point. Come and plug in one of those classic vibe Strats or Tellys, and tell me that is a bad guitar. You can't. They're so good for 300 quid. Getting that 50s telly, absolutely amazing. For the Matt Freeman P Bass,
but
absolutely amazing.
Anything classic vibe across the board, guitars and bass.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think that like if you want something for a little bit versatile, it's just killer.
Joe Branton, what's your first nomination for Bass of the Year?
Okay,
or Bass
well-
Thing of the Year?
Very well. Well, actually, both my nominations are going to be basses in this category. But my first one, seeing as we've mentioned Squire, my favourite thing that Squire have done this year, which I was probably the most excited about out of anything that's come out in 2013, is the Squire Vintage Modified Precision Bass Fretless.
Oh,
Exactly. Yes. It's the first time Fender or Squier have put out a fretless P bass in ages. They're just not something
I
we see
can't
on
remember the last one. I've got to admit.
you can't get one at the moment. You'd have to get a Tony Franklin if you wanted a P bass, and that's got a jazz pickup on it. Admittedly, it comes with a nice little three-way slider, so you can shut that down.
I can't actually, in the 13 years I've worked here, I can't remember an American, I can't think of a fretless P bass. I don't think it's been a thing.
I don't think it's probably been a thing since maybe the 70s. I think it's the last time you sort of saw them out and about, which is crazy. I mean, I understand the reason why. It's because a lot of fretless players are seeking a purer tone, which I suppose jazz basses are more responsible for, and it's all about the harmonics and things like that, which you're always going to get better off of that bridge single coil than you are on a P bass. But there is something just fantastically simple and old school about a fretless P bass. So I was very happy to see it introduced. I was incredibly happy to see it introduced at a price point of £246.
it's just absolutely bananas.
And then I was amazed even further by the fact that they introduced it in a really good-looking sunburst with a tortoiseshell scratch plate.
I think
torch shell.
that's the key, isn't it? On those, when you're looking at the slightly cheaper instruments like that, if you're doing a sunburst, put a tortoiseshell guard on it. Instantly, you forget that it's a cheaper instrument. It just gives it that extra like level of kind of aesthetic quality.
Yeah, it looks amazing, and I mean they've gone for the neck is ebonol, which Squier have started to use on their fretless things. That a few years ago when they introduced the fretless jazz bass, they used ebonol on the neck, which I prefer to rosewood.
So what is ebonol?
Ebonol is reconstituted ebony, essentially. So kind of it's like it's almost a plastic because it's such a kind of glossy finish. So lots of little bits of ebony, all reconstituted into kind of a man-made board. But it's incredibly hard still, like ebony, and has that really slippery, glossy finish that most people go for on fretless basses. Anyway, look at my favourite bass player, Juan Aldret, has a 70s P bass, which he's had. And that they had rosewood necks in the sort of matte rosewood, the sort of satin feel, and he's had that glossed over on kind of all his fretless basses.
Right.
And I think it's kind of a feel that people go for. You look at some of the higher end fretless basses, and you notice that's how they come. That's how you do a fretless bass. So great that they've introduced that on such an entry level. It's agathis, which its body is agathis, which I think has a lot of similar kind of tone properties to alder, but also doesn't weigh very much at all. So these are incredibly light, really easy to throw around, and just look really awesome.
I think it's similar to a lot of the things that we've chosen over the course of this process, in that people don't necessarily want to get a high-end fretless bass.
This is it. Yes, that is a fantastic point.
It's like it's another tool to your kind of arsenal of basses for not a lot of money.
No, well, exactly. 246 quid, you can get a sunburst torque guarded fretless precision bass. I mean, that will look fantastic, and you can get it as something to kick around on, on for 246.
Just
what
dabble
would your
in
equivalent
fretless
before if you didn't want to spend much money? If you wanted to spend 250 quid, you'd have to get something like really rubbish.
Saying that for a while Ibanez were doing an SR300 fretless, which is really nice, but not if you want a P bass.
Not if you like that classic look.
No,
exactly, and that was kind of my thing. I think before this came along, if I wanted a fretless bass to kick around on, I was pretty much limited to really modern looking basses, which I don't like, or I could go for the Squier Vint Mod jazz bass. But what if I don't like jazz basses?
Yeah, so certainly, again, it's about Fender listening to what people want and kind of filling that kind of niche.
Absolutely.
Matt Knight, what have you got for us?
Well, I'm going to throw, can't all just talk about bass guitars. There's other things in the bass world, and obviously an amp would be a suitable choice. So I've decided to go for the Gallien-Kruger Fusion 550 bass head.
Wicked head.
Yeah, I mean, for me, not really being much of a bass player, it is a little bit more difficult for me to kind of choose something. And sometimes, little features that, make me go, yes, I want that. And this it looks like a single channel bass amp, but it's not. It's dual channel with motorised controls.
Yes.
That's right.
That's
motorised controls.
It's been a long time since I've seen motorised controls on anything.
It is awesome. It just means that you can set like a clean tone and then like maybe a more kind of like raw tone, and then you just got a foot switch and then all the little controls, they move.
Yeah.
But it's a 500 watt solid state power amp, and it's got 3 12X7 circuits,
which is
two
essential.
preamps as well.
I think, all the best bass amps that are coming out now are, a handful of 12AX7s in the pre with a solid state power amp.
Well, because I think you need a solid state power amp for just the huge amount of power that you want for a bass amp, like 500 watts.
And also, they react very, very differently. You compare something like the attack on like the Gallien-Kruger to, say, an Orange 8200, which is all valve.
Yeah.
The 8200 is much slower and rounder.
Much more flabby.
But if for someone who's buying a Gallien-Kruger, they want fast attack. You want that kind of real super punchy bass sound.
All valve, valve amps, especially in guitars, sound great, and they do for bass. But the problem is that especially when you go to bass and you want something like an 8200 that's 200 watts, you need a couple of really heavy duty transformers. You need tons of valves, which means the chassis has to be massive, which means they weigh a ton.
Yeah.
And I think
Which
nowadays
is why if you want an all-valve bass head, you've got to drop 1,500 quid, whereas you want an all-valve guitar head, you'll drop 600 quid.
Yeah.
But not even that.
Not even,
no. 300-400 quid.
Junior, mate.
That's not a head.
But yeah, nice and portable. easy to carry around, 500 watts, which is more you need, motorised controls. I mean, awesome.
No, they are absolutely brilliant. I think Galen Kruger have really upped their game, and this is
active DI as well. So
yeah. I think this is something they really needed to add to their catalogue, just to kind of bring them into 2013. They've been running, their stuff that they had before, which they're still doing, kind of their RH series stuff and their MB stuff. It's all really great, but it's all been out for a while.
I can't remember the last time something like really new came out from Galen Kruger that was like
no, the RB different. Series they've always run for a long time, 2001s and 1001s,
and
700s and 400s. That's been like the staple.
And the little combos,
and they've tried a few other bits like really small like digital power amp stuff, but this I think is good because it really bridges the gap between a lot of the stuff they do. So it's in a slightly bigger box, and like you say, it's got valves in it, but it's it's not a huge weight, and definitely having 2 channels but with only a single channel strip is pretty revolutionary. I can't think of another amp that does that really in that way.
Joe, you'd be the one to answer that.
No, I can't either.
Nothing else.
I'll tell you one of the things I really like about Galen Kruger, which is, I guess, a little bit irrelevant, but it makes our lives a little bit easier.
Is it that Flea plays them?
No, it's not that at all, Joe. It's that they're distributed by this company called Polar, and whenever I phone up Polar, they're really, really nice. So,
and also, I mean, another thing to say about
that's your feature.
it's just one of the things I really like
the
about
people
them.
that supply the people nice guys.
I think they're Polar, aren't they?
They are Polar.
Yeah. They're really
the
nice.
other thing to mention with Galen Kruger is they're very reliable. We very
absolutely.
rarely get them back.
Yeah,
so if you're looking at something that's durable, loads of sounds, then the Fusion stuff is.
I always GK are another one of these companies who quite like how we were talking about Zoom yesterday. They always, to me, I always thought they were kind of a little bit uncool. And it's over the last year or so I've actually gone, nah, this stuff's really versatile. It's really it's just really good. It's really, really good stuff.
I don't think it was so much that they were uncool, more that they were very pigeonholed. More that their cabinets came with this sort of aluminium effect, plastic square mesh.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It was really like, if you're into craft work, I'm sure they look wicked. but outside of that, they were very, very niche, very, very particular.
Yeah.
And this year, they facelifted stuff. I mean, the Fusion looks the bomb. It's kind of got this retro styling to it, whilst having loads and loads of modern features on it. They've also redone all their M series cabinets.
That's the stuff.
Mesh
that's
and
the thing that I really
symbol.
like about that. Was when I first saw the new M stuff. That was when I really sat up and went, actually, this is really, really good stuff. This is a really good company.
Yeah.
And I think that they'll quickly see that it isn't, because it was always just a little bit industrial looking, and
bang on,
it's just, it's not what most people want. And I think that by going for that more sort of a streamlined sort of classic look, it really does change people's minds over these sort of things, especially someone as shallow as myself.
Now, my first pick is the Ibanez SR800. Now,
this is an odd pick.
It's an odd pick. The reason that I've picked it is because they're exclusive to GAK.
I thought that would be why.
Yeah, we're doing a few of these. There's a few guitars as well, and there's a 5-string version of this, which I assume is called the AI5. Where Ibanez has said, look, we've got these really, we do a huge catalogue. We've got loads of production models, but because we do so much with you guys, do so much with GAK. We've got some that are in a really, really small quantity that don't deviate that much from the standard models, but they're something that you can say, like, we are the only shop to do this. And for a company like Ibanez to do that, I just think is super cool.
Yeah.
To reach out to someone like us and say, you're going to be the only shop in the world that has these. On top of that, the bass is incredible. It's based around the normal SR range, so that you see in the 300s, the 500s, right up to the the 1600 series. It's all the features that you'd expect. It's Jatoba Babinga neck, like the rest of the range. Mahogany body, so again, same as the 500s.
That's right, yeah.
Poplar burl top in amber.
Yeah, now the Poplar burl we see on the 1600 series, but not with this finish over the top.
No, and this is one of the exclusive things to this bass, isn't it? It kind of sits price-wise in between something like the 500s and the 1600s, but you're getting the Poplar burl top rather than just the kind of natural mahogany that's on the 500s.
Yeah, it's just like a lacquered mahogany on the 5s.
Again, the other things that you'd expect from the range, Bartolini pickups in there, 3-band EQ, but with that kind of mid-frequency switch. I just think if you're looking for a kind of modern style bass for this kind of money, they're 639, and you want something that you will literally never see elsewhere.
I think anyone buying a 500 right now should be looking at an 800.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not that much of a jump price-wise. They look loads better, I think, than the 500s, which are just like a natural mahogany stain.
I agree, and you see a lot of 500s about, whereas obviously these you wouldn't do.
No.
But yeah, spec-wise, absolutely phenomenal for the money.
And, it's a cool little story. You can say, there's this music shop in Brighton. These were only for them. You will never see another one.
No, absolutely.
Unless you're friends with someone who buys the other one that we've got in stock here, but very unlikely. So taking it out to a gig, no one else is going to have this guitar, which I think deserves to be in the gear of the year.
Point, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
J Cross, give us another bass thing that you love from this year.
Okay, I'm going TC again.
You love TC.
I really do like TC. Yeah, I really do. One of the big things for me is I'm a real advocate of simplicity and reliability. They're so important to me, those things. And I really think that
Is that because you're simple and reliable?
It's because I'm simple and unreliable, and I like things around me to, no, I'm complex and I'm reliable, and I like these. I'm definitely not neither of those things. Anyway, the BH250 came out this year, and it's just a really cool, small, simple, reliable head, and it's still got all the tone print features in, which is really, really cool.
Well, I think that makes it more than like just a simple reliable head. I think that makes it really revolutionary.
But what I mean is, you don't have to use those things if you don't want to.
No, yes,
and
absolutely.
I think that's like an auxiliary feature, which just gives you which sets it apart from everything else that's come out.
So explain how this works. So just looking at the picture that you've got there, so it's just like a 3. Yeah. It's just got 4 controls on the amp. Is that right, or 4 or 5?
That's right.
Yeah, you've got your standard EQ. You've got bass, middle, treble. You just have volume, so you don't have just a master volume, so no gain control. But you've got a gain switch, so you can make it hot or not.
Okay.
And then your tone print comes preloaded with chorus. So why would you ever need to?
The thing that I think is quite good about this, and I always use quite a lot of gain when I'm playing bass. But because initially I was a little bit turned off by this because there was there's no gain function.
Yeah.
But the tone print gives you the option of one of the tone prints that's on there, which isn't a pedal that is made outside of this. You can only get this with the BH. It's only with the BH series. It's the tube drive.
I think that's available on all tone print things, but certainly
not the guitar pedals.
It's not.
No. So,
oh right, yeah. The BH, the BG.
Okay, right.
Series,
So the amps,
they do a range of combos.
Right. Okay. So you've got one of the effects that's on there is a bass drive, and there's like a really, really cool like tube drive sound, which I actually had it plugged in with the Starcaster. And it sounded so good, like really aggressive, really grunty, really just everything that Joe Brandon hates about me playing bass. And just for that alone, for the fact that it was something that Joe liked, and I was making it sound like something Joe wouldn't like, that alone is worth it being in here. And it's 250 quid.
Yeah, I mean,
smaller than a lunchbox.
It's worth mentioning. Yeah, the size of it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You could put that in your gig bag. You could put that in the pocket on the front of your gig bag.
A lot of people say that about heads at the moment, but this one you actually could. Like Mark Bass say that, and you can't, but you can with these.
Yeah, they are considerably small. They're actually saying that the Mark Bass Big Bang, which is the tiny
Bang
one, they're in a similar chassis to this, and both of those heads, just drop them in a gig bag. See you later. As long as there's a cab at the venue, fine. You've got your whole rig, unless you use pedals, which on bass you shouldn't.
God damn it! And the TC, it's 250 watts, and it's actually really loud. TC, I find it tend to be very, very loud for what they are. I was trying this out. I was thinking about getting a small rig earlier this year. I didn't go for it in the end, but I was thinking about getting a smaller rig, and I tried one of these out with the B series 212 cabinet, which is 8 ohm. So I wasn't even pulling the full 250
full load,
And at halfway, I was like, "Well, this is giggable." And I wasn't even pushing the amp. So that for 200 50 watts. That's
it's a
loud.
built-in tuner as well.
Yeah.
The only drawback is I actually did a quick scan of the specs. It says the tuner works from anything from 4 to 6 strings, so it's not going to be, you won't be able to plug your 7-string bass
BTB,
into,
yeah.
you won't be able to plug that into it. So
that's
it's
true.
maybe not the amp for you or Matt.
The other thing that's not so much a drawback, but it's limitation. And why would you need more than this with a 250 watt head? But there is only one cab in.
Yeah, absolutely. But just a wicked little. I mean, 250 quid.
I completely agree.
For a professional use.
What else
bass
is
amp.
there's hardly anything on the mark. What the little mark black.
Yeah, the black line.
The black line.
Yeah, the black line 250.
And the Ampeg Portaflex.
Yeah, things like that. But I think this offers a lot more than either of those.
Yeah.
And actually, I spend a lot of time on basschat.com and the forums, .co.uk. Brilliant. And the forums are just streaming with stuff on these BH250s.
Yeah.
It's the sort of thing that everyone's buying.
Yeah.
Joe Branton, give us your second nomination for Bass Thing of the
Very
Year.
well. Well, we've already had one of the Chinese modern player Fenders mentioned by Jay, but I'm going to mention another one. The Fender Modern Player Dimension. The German. The Fender Modern Player Dimension bass, which is a brand new bass, not the Starcaster, not a reissue, not something with extra pickups in. This is a brand new bass. Fender have made something different. They're using a different body shape
I know,
on a bass.
I know.
They haven't done that for decades and decades, which is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, this is kind of totally new for Fender. So new body shape, new pickup. They've invented a 3-coil triple bucker. I mean, not revolutionary. We've seen the triple buckers on the ATK stuff by Ibanez for years, but new for Fender certainly. And kind of really interesting options. So you can kind of you've got a volume control. And then your second control, rather than being tone, it allows you to split the coils of the triple bucker, so you can run each one independently, or 2 together, or all 3 at once on kind of a 5-way pickup selector, which is great. Which means it does loads and loads of different tonal things,
just on one basically like preset switch.
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
which is really cool. I mean, it's kind of it has a lot in common with a Music Man Stingray and kind of where the pickup's positioned. So you're getting a lot of that sort of tight top end that you get from Music Man Stingrays, but it's passive, so you're not messing around with 9-volt batteries or any of that palaver. But I think absolutely brilliant. They're incredibly comfortable, very, very well built. I think they look great, big substantial bridge. The pickup is so perfect for sort of where bass playing is going today and how people are acquiring that sort of high output, really tight sound. I think they're incredibly versatile, a real sort of session player's bass. Absolutely wicked.
Matt Knight hits with the second nomination.
Well, as I said, I want something a bit different. So,
Okay.
and for me, in terms of basses,
Just see what you've got.
well, I like things a little bit, over the top. So the Ibanez BTB 7 NT, the 7-string. That's right.
Yeah.
7-stringed Ibanez bass.
Absolutely.
Because it's
phenomenal bit,
just amazing.
Yeah, they are absolutely wicked.
It's just like, what could they make better than a 6-string bass?
Well, I mean, just add one.
Just add one.
Just add one.
Or
and,
two.
and it's just paving the way for 8,
What is it?
9,
It's a high
10
F,
strings.
isn't it?
It's a high F. So
Yeah.
it goes low B, E, A, D, and G, high C, higher F. And it's when we talked about it a few weeks ago, and it was like that note, the fact that you can get just a ridiculous top note for me, for not a bass player, but just if I was like, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna get something a little bit crazy, and I just want to do some different playing. I just want to stick a load of fuzz on it, do a load of delay.
Well, exactly.
Amazing.
I mean, we were saying when we were doing the guitars that 2013 has been the year for extended range, and how can we not have this in the running?
Yeah,
and
the fact that it's got a 7-piece neck.
Well, exactly.
It's I think the thing about Ibanez, though, realistically, is the actual construction quality is just amazing.
Yeah.
Like you know, for what are these, 809 quid.
Well, for me, that's the reason that it's on the list,
absolutely
is because,
remarkable.
you know, like you say, you go on things like Bass Chat and you go on forums and stuff where people are talking about extended range basses.
Yeah.
Normally you have to get custom built, custom designed, you know, oh, this costs $3,000, this costs $2,500. Ibanez are like, no, do you know what? We're going to do one, and we're going to build it to the same quality as these companies, you know, real high end. And it comes in at what, 870 quid, did you say?
809.
Yeah,
That's
809,
ridiculous,
which
really.
that's remarkable. The fact that you can pick up something with such incredible tone woods and incredible finish, and something just so remarkably built for like 200 quid less than you can get a standard American P bass, I think
it's
is
crazy,
amazing.
And yeah, for me, I just, you know, I think what we said, extended range is kind of really come out a lot this year, and I just think it's paving the way for, you know, for more basses, more guitars, and you know, pickups and getting better for that sort of thing, pick up more of the frequency range, and yeah, it's just an amazing bit of kit.
Just can't use it with my my
Well,
250.
you know,
We can't tune it with my 250.
So, halfway through the year, we've been doing this podcast since sort of May, but we did a kind of midway Gear of the Year rundown.
we did, yeah.
And we said, I think the big point from that was that 2013 is the year of the Les Paul and the SG, and that's what Gibson was saying. You know, we're just going to do, we're not going to not do Explorers anymore, not do Flying Vs. It's the year of the Les Paul and the SG. I'm going to say that 2013 has been the year of the Gibson bass.
You annoy me because you have picked, this is the piece of gear of the year for 2000.
Well, let's see where we get to. But so my suggestion is the flagship for that, the EB bass.
Yeah.
Gibson's, I guess, their first attempt for a long time to do a bass that isn't based on one of the guitars that they do.
Yeah.
And again, it's about listening to what people want. You know, I think that there's a very, very few people in the world who go, do you know what I really want? Flying V bass.
Yeah.
I think Gibson have gone, actually, what we could do is we could look at the people that are buying P basses, jazz basses, you know, Stingrays, that sort of thing, and go, we could build a bass like that that's not based on any of our guitars. And, you know, just what they've produced is incredible. Two humbuckers, loads of switching options, loads of tone, Fendery type tones, Music Man-y type tones.
And you can still make it sound like a T-Bird in there as well.
Yeah, and all the regular Gibson stuff. 769 quid.
With a hard case.
It's absolutely bananas.
And, you know, a lot of them
Babbage bridge. Really boutique bridge.
Loads of their marketing is focused on this year of the Les Paul and the SG, but what I think they've done is they've snuck in through the back door with a load of new basses. Again, we've seen Custom Shop 335s, Midtown bass, really changing how we think about Gibson basses. And, you know, they've kind of kept it on the down low, but we need to celebrate that in our Gear of the Year.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think they're remarkable. The fact they do a 4 and a 5 string version of them, such a range of finishes.
Loads of colours.
The fact that the humbuckers are both coil tappable as well.
Gibson are finally doing basses properly.
I completely agree.
I mean, I love the sound of a Gibson bass, but you've got to want to sound like Jack Bruce to play a Gibson bass, whereas this is the first thing. You can use this for anything, and Gibson have never done that before. Well, I suppose they have with the Grabber and the Ripper, but
not for a long time. And those were, again, I think the way those were designed didn't lend themselves to someone switching over from a P or a Jazz, whereas this totally is. This stands up there as a competitor to their, you know, the American built equivalents, Fender wise. And you save yourself loads of money.
Yeah, exactly.
Nearly 300 quid. Oh, no, more than 300.
I can't believe that I could part with £769 for something with Gibson on the headstock in a hard case.
Crazy.
That I could use on, like, you would never need another instrument. There isn't something you can get better than this. This is the top end of kind of, you know, basses, and yeah, absolutely brilliant bits of gear.
Okay, we're running very, very long on this podcast. We were going to try and keep these short and snappy, but let's get to it. What are we going to put through? Jay Cross, out of your two picks, what are you going to put through?
The Starcaster.
Joe Branton, of your two, what are you going to put through?
Oh Christ, I didn't even think about it. Because it's completely new, and we've been trying to put through things that have kind of revolutionised this year, I'm going to go for the Dimension bass.
Matt Knight, of your two picks, what are you putting through?
I'm going to go for the 7-string.
BTB7, it's got to be. It's got to be. I'm going to go for the EB bass because I think for all the reasons we've just outlined, it's kind of changed how we feel about Gibson basses. Which two are we going to put through?
Well,
it's it's
The EB.
It's going to be the
gotta
first,
be
the first one that
EBs.
I'm not going to get anything on.
The EB has
It's
got to
be the EB and the BTB, I think.
I
Really?
think-
I'm not sure about the BTB.
Really? It's a 7-string bass.
Well, that's why I'm not sure about it. I mean, I'll be willing. You know, I'm gonna step outside my comfort zone here and say, yeah, it probably, you know, because of again what it represents and what it,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think
what it lends itself to. I think it's very, very 2013.
Very, yeah.
And
Very
I think
much so.
and I think that for that alone, it deserves to be in there without being a gimmick. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be a playable bass, not just go, we stuck an extra string on it.
Yeah,
'cause
absolutely.
we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got that, and I think the EB, I think is it's a no-brainer. It's
Oh yeah, the EB
absolute
100%
no-brainer.
is.
So we're all in agreement. Ibanez BTB7 NT and the Gibson EB bass
Yeah.
going through to
Yeah.
our Gear of the Year finals tomorrow, where we're going to debate. And I mean, God knows what's going to happen tomorrow because it's everything that we've put through could be the piece
Yeah.
of gear.
Yeah.
So who knows how we're going to whittle it down.
mud wrestling.
Join us tomorrow for for certainly not that. Thanks very much. And see you
Cheers.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Farewell.
It's GAK's Gear of the Year.